Our next speaker will display how societies can benefit economically from damage removals. Oj, om man sa det för några år sedan så var man ju terrorist. And restoration efforts. It's a pleasure to have Pao Fernández Garrido here from Dam Removal Europe. Welcome to the stage. Nu får vi en helt annan bild av saken.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm the last one to speak. I'm sorry, but I really need your attention, so I hope you don't take a siesta during my talk. Just make a last effort. But I really want to thank the opportunity to have me here today because I think what I'm going to explain, it's important for everybody. So I would like to start explaining who we are, where we come from. Then later I will explain the fragmentation situation of our rivers in Europe. Later the status of dam removals, why we are removing dams, what's Dam Removal Europe as a project, and good cases studies. So who we are? Wolfish Migration Foundation. It's based in the Netherlands, and it's a foundation which is focused on river restoration projects, longitudinal connectivity restoration to improve migratory fish population. We work in several projects. One of them, and the first one we started, it's Wolfish Migration Day, which happens every 2 years, and I would really like to ask you to please join us for 2020, which will be the next one. Another one is Dam Removal Europe, which I will explain later. Adaptive Management of Barriers in European Rivers, AMBER, which is a Horizon 2020 project. It's very ambitious. I really recommend you to get to go online, and I will explain later one of the goals of this project. Another project is from Sea to Source book. We launched the first book on 2012. It was so successful, the book. You can download it online for free. Then we launched a second version from Sea to Source 2.0, where you can find good cases, examples of river restorations, dam removal all over the world. And actually, I have printed versions for whoever comes to talk to me later after the discussion, the first one. And another project is the Swimway Poster. Swimway Poster is something very simple. It's a poster you can download for free, and it's a way to create awareness in schools, universities, natural centers, any institute that somehow wants to teach people about the importance of migratory fish. You can also download it for free. It's in 13 languages. It's in Swedish too. And from all these projects we are working in, we started Dam Removal Europe. Before we started Dam Removal Europe, we were in USA in a conference, and where the future founder of our foundation and I met, and we learned so much about USA dam removals. We were amazed on all the information they had, all the data. They had removed already 1,300 barriers in the rivers. And then our question was, between him and me, what is the situation in Europe? How many dams and weirs do we have? How many have we removed any barrier? We knew nothing. So we start searching after this meeting, and you always on and on found the same numbers. You would go to the inventories of the European Environmental Agency, and you would only find that we have more than 700 big dams, large dams in European Union. And you would also go to other inventories like the International Commission of Large Dams, and they have registered 59,000 dams. But that's only the tip of the iceberg of the situation. We kept searching and searching, and we started collecting, I don't know why it's doing this, but we started collecting inventories from other countries, and all the barriers from just half a meter high to big dams, and the numbers were amazing. I mean, France has over 95,000 barriers, out of which 70,000 are weirs and dams. And England and Wales only 22,000 weirs and dams. And Sweden, all obstacles, I think also counting on, I don't know if culverts are included, 10,000. So we were like, we just know, we don't know the situation of our rivers. Nobody had really ever collected this data. So thanks to actually Amber project, one of the goals of this project is to create the first atlas in European continental level, okay, 33 countries, to collect all their inventories and to produce an atlas, free access, with all the data. We will publish this at the end of this year, and it was a big challenge because we found out that most of the countries has a very poor data, and very incomplete data. The best countries with the best inventories are actually France, Sweden, and Wales and England, as I show you. And with the estimations and analysis in this project, we have calculated, because of what I was telling you, that there's a lot of data missing, we've calculated that Europe has over 1 million barriers in the rivers. And actually, we tested this data with data field validation. So, I mean, we keep building weirs and dams, and we don't even know what we have. We don't even know the humongous number we already have and what conditions they are. It's just crazy. So we started also to collect data on dams and weirs removed in Europe because we knew nothing. We didn't have any report or any information of what was going on in Europe. And actually, I have to clarify, France and Sweden, those numbers are weirs, dams that have been or naturally collapsed or manned removed. So they don't make a distinction in their inventory. The rest they do. So Finland, Spain, UK, they have, on purpose, they have removed those numbers of dams. And and it was amazing because nobody knew about it. It was like a taboo. Nobody talked about dam removal. Uh, we were amazed because this is such a great restoration method, and nobody was really supporting these people doing this job. So we decided that we needed to share this. And why? Actually, why? I could have another presentation only explaining why, because in each country they have different reasons, and also depending on the case, sometimes it's because they want to recover fisheries, their native species. Sometimes it's because they are dangerous structures. They are not in good conditions. They are not being maintained. They are not being repaired. So they just remove them. And in other countries like USA, mostly they also remove them because of economic reasons. Because if you have a dam or a weir and you are not using it, you are not really making any benefit. It's going to cost you a lot of money because you will have to pay repairs and maintenance and inspections every year or every 2 years or every 5 years, depending on the type of a dam you have. So there are many reasons why the people are removing dams. So we needed to share this information. We needed to tell people that dams, I don't know why we have this conception of weirs and dams, like at least in Spain and other countries in the south, that they are like the pyramids of Egypt. They are untouchable, and you can not remove them. Actually, sometimes when I talk about removing dams, can you actually remove a dam? Well, it's a man-made structure. It's just like a building, and if the structure, in this case a dam, has fulfilled its service, its goal, its purpose, you must take it out for the health of your river and for the safety of your people. And people are not aware about the impacts of dams, and there are many. Some people just think about migratory fish, but it's much more than that. It's about nutrients and sediments being blocked and not going downstream, not reaching the rest of the river, not reaching the deltas shrinking, the deltas actually not feeding the beaches, not in all systems, but for example in the Mediterranean Sea in Spain, it's like that. The Ebro Delta is shrinking, so it's not feeding the rest it's not feeding with sand the rest of the beaches. So it's also about underground aquifers recharge problems, about erosion problems, about oxygen and temperature problems, water quality problems. It's a lot. It's truly a lot. And I have to say that 2 weeks ago, I was in a workshop with hydropower, small hydropower association from all Europe in Brussels, and I was invited to present at Removal Europe. And I have to say, I was really shocked because people that are actually working on this, on dams, on weirs, on hydropower. I mean, I was not talking directly with farmers, or if somebody that is not directly working with the dam. They didn't know all these impacts. They were not aware. I was in shock. I was like, what? And actually, they deny some of the impacts to me. They say, no, that's not true. That's like, I mean, at this point of history, that's like saying Earth is not spheric, it's flat. I mean, it's the same example, saying no to all these impacts. And they were, and actually, I want to clarify something. Sorry, I didn't say it in the beginning. When I present Dam Removal Europe, it's a project where we want to share information and facilitate information about the positive things of removing dams and weirs, why this is important. And it's not that we want to remove all dams. This happens very frequently to me when I present the project. People get freaked out and they think we want to remove all the dams. And no, I mean, we need dams, right? We need water, we need irrigation, we need to water supply for houses, of course, but we need to do it in a responsible way. I mean, this is exactly just, I always like to put this example, this is just exactly like X-ray. I don't know if you know the story of X-ray, but X-ray started more than a century ago, and when it was discovered, X-ray was a miracle. It was great. Everybody, would use it, and there were no protection. There was no exposure limit. You would X-ray for seconds and minutes, and wow, it was cool. And decades later, they found out X-ray is really damaging it's really negative for human health. Did we stop using X-ray? Did we stop? We didn't stop. What did we do? We improved the techniques for X-ray, and we decreased the exposure of X-ray, the radiation on our body, and we use it when it's necessary. With this is exactly the same. I mean, it's really sorry to say, it's ridiculous to say to not admit that the dams and weirs have really, really negative impacts. I mean, it's really ridiculous when I hear that hydropower is green. For a professional, I'm an engineer. Okay, I'm not a green ecologist, terrorist, environmentalist that wants all them out. No, I'm an engineer. But I mean, we have to be professionals and serious. Dams and weirs have really negative impacts, and we must manage them and use them very well, and only when it's necessary. And that's what we are not doing that right now. We are, so for you to understand me well, we are using hydropower, we are using dams and weirs for irrigation, for blah blah blah, as we used to use X-ray 100 years ago, and it's unacceptable with all the knowledge we have. It's really, it's really sad, and for a professional, it's unbelievable that at this point of history, I still meet people that say that hydropower is green. One thing is renewable, and another thing is green. They're completely different concepts. Okay, we must be very careful not to mix them, and that they don't have impacts. That's I mean, at this point of time, saying that it's really serious and pretty bad. So this is what we want to share in that Removal Europe project. We want to share information, all the things that have been done these past decades, and nobody knows. So through our project, we facilitate information in our website and newsletters. We share knowledge and experience in international seminars and in national seminars. And actually, we created a policy report last year that we took to the European Commission a month and a half ago. You can download it for free in our website too, the policy report. It's this one, where we facilitate and we collect and summarize what is dam removal. We refute myth about removing dams is terrible, blah, blah, blah. We explain when it's possible, when it's not. We give good cases examples. Actually, we give 6 examples that I will explain later, 2 of them in Denmark that are great examples. So we want to put dam removal as the best river restoration method uh, in the agendas of policymakers and agendas on the river basin authorities. To use dam removal as a great restoration method and not have it as a taboo as we have it now. And you can also find many case studies on our website. You can click in each of them and you will find why they were done, what year, who funded, what was, and then some of them, what were the results after the dam removal. Except 2 that are being done right now. These, all of them were carried out in the past, except 2. The one, I don't know if this one, it's being carried out right now in France, is the biggest dam removal ever done in Europe. Is 35 meters tall. Is in the Salon River in Normandy, and it's being actually removed right now. We will organize an international seminar actually in September here, and that removal Europe international seminar, and the field trip will be here. And this is a really complex case, but just to summarize, the the repairs and the maintenance of this dam was much bigger than the benefits they were getting. So they decided to to demolish, and actually they want to recover salmon, which was, it's completely extinct in this river since this was built 100 years ago. And this other dam, it's in Estonia. Actually, this is one of the 10 small weirs that they are removing, but this is an amazing project because these 10 weirs are in the very beginning of the Parnu river in Estonia. It's a huge a river catchment, and because of these weirs, salmon disappear in almost all the catchments. So they are going to open thanks to this removal, which are happening now. They started in February, I think, and they will finish in a couple of months. We are having the next dam removal Europe International Seminar is happening in May here in Parnu, and after this, dam removal, it's opening the whole river basin. So it's 3,100 kilometers of streams and river that they are going to open for salmon again. So actually, in this case, they are doing it because of salmon, restoration of salmon, basically. And in Sweden, actually, we were really impressed about 2 cases, and one of them, this one, where in a municipality of Hudiksvall, oh my God, I can't make it, sorry. We were so impressed of what they were going to do that we decided to organize our 3rd international seminar this past September in this municipality, because they want to be the first municipality free of barriers. We were like in shock. They even have a documentary talking about it, and we were like, wow, these people are the coolest. I can't believe they're doing this. So because their hydropower were not really giving any benefit comparing with the what they could gain taking them out. So this is all the news that you can read in our website. Also, this is, I think, the example the previous speaker was talking about, and in Klippen municipality, we heard about it, and we were amazed. So Sweden is already doing things, but definitely you have much more potential, way much more potential. So I really encourage Sweden with your rivers, with your salmon, just to go as for example USA is doing. That's what I'm gonna show later, which is astonishing what they are doing there. So what it's been doing right now, what's going on in Europe? Well, there are some countries like, for example, in Scotland, they took very seriously to recover their rivers and to recover their salmon and sea trout. So they decided they made their only fund that I found in all Europe to restore rivers. It's called the Water Environmental Fund. It's managed by SEPA, the Scottish Environmental Protection Agency, and they have between 2 and 3 millions of budget each year only to restore rivers. And some of the actions they do is removing dams, and basically is to restore their fisheries stock for angling, because in Scotland they do have rural economy on sport fishing, and they really want to improve their fish stocks through dam removal. And it's very soon. They started this just a few years ago, I think, like 5 years ago or 6, I don't remember. It's very, very early to start having numbers, but already the dams that they have removed, they are already seeing salmon where they have never been salmon before. So they are already seeing, it's coming in the national news. So so it's already happening. It's just it's too soon to really have numbers on the impact on hotels, licenses, because it has been only 5 years. These two examples, this one and the next one, you will be able to find them in the policy report from our website. These two examples in Denmark are very interesting. Denmark is taking really seriously their improvement of sport fishing economy. So they decided to improve their fisheries, and they started to remove weirs and dams. And these two cases are amazing. This case, they did a really deep monitoring before and after, and you can see. Oh, sorry, you can see the numbers. I mean, there was no. This is sea trout. There was no sea trout above this weird, and after, I mean, the population is going up. I mean, it's so evident. And this one, here there were several weir removals, not only one. And this is numbers of salmon. So they came from almost nothing to, it's just incredible numbers too. And they have a really two interesting reports that you can also download, and you will understand better than me because I had to use Google Translate to understand everything. But where they say that thanks to the river restoration projects that they are carrying out, especially removing barriers, their fish population are increasing, and so they made a very exhaustive analysis of the income they are getting from the sport fishing. So this is only for sport fishing in a region. I cannot even try to pronounce this. So and they want to double this. They want to double the numbers because they see they have a huge potential. It has already increased the salmon stocks, and this is already giving benefits to the rural economy. But they want to really double the numbers by removing dams. And this is for me the key of the examples. This is from USA. This is in Maine, in state of Maine, in USA. It's in the northeast, just with the border of Canada. This dam was built in the 1800s in the Kennebec River, even though population were against it because they were aware the building of this dam was going to affect fisheries. They knew it. But at the end, governors accepted the pressure of the industrial business, and they built. This was the first dam to be built. So a couple of decades later, they started to see the results, and actually, one of the first results was that the shad industry closed. Well, 15 years ago, they finally removed Edward Rams after 15 years of debate and fighting. The population wanted to remove it, but the owner didn't want to remove it. For me and for many people, this is like a very iconic dam removal. I don't know if you have heard about Eloa. Dam removal is the biggest dam removal in history. But this is different because this dam was actually being used. and they asked for to renew their license because it was actually active. In the LOA, it's different. It was active, but it's a long story. But the benefits were so low that it was actually obvious that it was not worth to keep with those two dams in the LOA. So when they finally decided to remove the first dam, and then later, 8 years later, one the other dam for Halifax upstream, in a tributary upstream, the recovery has been astonishing. I mean, there was no alewife. Alewife is river herring, little river herring. Above the dam, there was no alewife population, and after the dam removal, the numbers went to up to 78,000 below the dam. Okay, never up to 5.5 million up the dams. So they started again alewife fisheries. There is now an industry of fisheries that is started. Also, this is a great actually news for lobster harvesters, because they are having a really hard time to get bait for lobsters. I'm sure you have heard about Maine lobster, which is very famous, but their farmers are really having strong problems to get forage, to get bait for lobster. And now, because there's so much alewife, they are buying alewife to feed the lobster. Also, I had the chance to speak with the president of alewife harvester of Maine, and he told me that even the fishermen from the coast have already noticed. This is not quantified yet. There hasn't been any study yet about this, but I mean, when you know fishermen that have been fishing for 40 years in the area, I think they really know what they're saying. And all fishermen in the coast are already saying that the catches of cod and haddock have already increased, and they're getting better in only 15 years. So, and I almost forget one of the most important the town of Benton, they have so much alewife now that they decided to harvest it and sell it when there are more than 225,000 alewife that have passed the fish lift from the first dam that is still upstream, and they said that we have so many that they started to fish and to sell it, and so now the town has an income that it wasn't there before. So there are a lot of positive impact, economic impacts after the dam removal. And sorry, and I would like also to say that these are just some of the numbers you can find if you search a little bit. But when you talk with people there, they are already seeing other indirect impacts. Like, for example, they are starting to have tourism on bird watchers, because the bird population has grown so much because of the return of alewives that now they have birds and population of birds that they never had before in 100 years. So now they're starting to have bird watch tourism and more ecotourism. So there is more things coming in that they are noticing, but still they need to get time to collect all this data and really analyze it. But it's already happening. And in the Penobscot River, which is parallel to Kennebec River in Maine State, in the more to the east, in 2012 and 2013, they removed two dams, and exactly the same is happening. This is more recent, so they haven't had any report yet of if there is any fishery opening or what is the economic impact, but they already know the numbers and above the dams. And I mean, we are talking about with this and these 3 million fish already passing, you know. So it's not science fiction. This is real numbers. And now this is a very interesting part that we tend to forget. When you in New England, they are so active in dam removal and weir removal that the state of Massachusetts actually have done already 3 reports on the impact, economic benefits on the local area, thanks to the the restoration projects, because that's giving jobs, that's moving a lot of money, and actually each $1 million they spend, they get back, the community get back, sorry, more than 1.5 million. And this is really well studied. You can actually download these reports. You have this one and these two from 2012 and 2015. And actually, they even compare it with any other projects like road or bridge construction. So this is also something we must take into account. That removal is not only about recovering fish and for fish freaks. No, this is much more than that. And to end, I would like to tell you that, well, 5 minutes. I'm good. I would like to tell you that, well, there are different ways to fund these projects. It really depends on the country. There are some countries that have, like Scotland, they have a specific fund. France, for example, government help with up to 60, even 80% of the cost sometimes, depending on the case. In USA, they have many grants that you can apply also. It really depends on the country. But not all the countries have economic and fund supports, like Finland, for example. So even though they are very active. So we started a crowdfunding campaign this past September, and I would like to tell you that from the 3 first candidates that we chose, 2 already got what they needed, and they are being removed this year. And so we are accepting more and more candidates because I really think that we must open our eyes. We must encourage our people to really start removing, at least starting to remove those ones that they are not being used as for what it was they were built. And just to end, I would like to tell you that in Spain, it's really sad because I am not really familiar with Swedish situation, but in Spain, we know this is confirmed that sturgeon got extinct because of dams. Salmon and trout situation is so poor, and you can only find salmon in the very north. And actually, most of the salmon you find in rivers, it's because of hatchery, not because of wild salmon. Eel, in my grandparents' time, you could find eel and baby eels in the center of the peninsula because they were able to go up the rivers in Duero, in Ebro. That's completely gone, and it's very sad to think that I could go on and on. It's very sad to think that I'm leaving my children this situation. You know, we are talking about only 3 generations difference. So I really encourage you that anyone that really puts effort to restore your rivers, it's great that you do it for tourism and for sport fishing. Actually, I support you, but you will have, I think, a much better impact and a much rewarding. And is that maybe you leave a better rivers for your children, something more similar than what your great grandparents had. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pao. Now, here in Sweden, we would like to see some economic impact, some figures. Will there be any? Do you have anything there more of the economic impact to give us, or is it anything you are working on?
We are. We are
Yeah.
starting to work right now in collecting all this data, and actually, we might in a couple of years do a research project collecting all the data in Europe and USA. We started actually working on this actually a little bit thanks to this conference, because we have been thinking a lot about it. But when you asked about this data, we said we must get more. So we actually, and the European Commission asked the same questions a month ago.
Yeah.
And so we are definitely going to start really seriously in a year. Yeah. To
But
get more.
it's one reflection is it's all of us know that, of course, without dams we will have more salmon, but
Yeah.
it's also interesting to see that you have an impact on the life in the sea and the rivers, the shore around,
Yeah.
for the herring and everything.
Yeah, and the cod and the haddock.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Och nu är det dags för en liten bensträckare.